Good afternoon or good evening to you, wherever you are. In this vlog, I wanted to go a step further in unpacking literacy and what we did together as a cohort, but would like to start, or rather underpin as a starting point, that given the fact that my subject area or area of specialization is music and arts, that it would be remiss of me not to draw some parallels between general literacy skills and how it relates to music literacy. I'd also like to touch on how those two have the potential, in my experience and in other arts educators' experience, to draw strong parallels, not only conceptually, but in practice, and how it also reinforces broader literacy skills. So let's talk about reading and music and unlocking literacy skills through the arts. So many people have touched on it, but as a start, let's remember that reading isn't just about recognizing words on a page. I'm not saying that in a patronizing way, but it's a good starting point because neither is reading music just dots and lines on a page. It's a full brain workout, much like playing an instrument is. When we read, we decode symbols, recognize words, and most importantly, we make sense of what we see. In music, we also make sense of how something feels, or how something sounds, or the patterns that are created sonically and tactilely, in a tactile way, the feeling of sound physically in your body. And that's most powerfully felt when music is made in an ensemble or group setting. So the same can be said for a group choral setting where a poem is recited as a group with particular sound, rhythm, dynamic, phrasing, cadence. So, what is the goal of literacy? It's understanding. Whether we're driving into a novel, analyzing a science textbook, or following a sheet of music, literacy helps us learn, think critically, and communicate effectively. But just like playing music isn't just about pressing keys or strumming strings, reading isn't just about knowing words. It requires fluency, vocabulary, and strategies for comprehension. English learners have an added challenge as they navigate both a new language and reading skills at the same time. That's why the best teaching approaches combine explicit instruction in word recognition with meaning, making strategies, just as music education integrates technique with emotional expression to create meaningful sound. And I reference Freeman and Freeman, 2014. Breaking words and breaking down music, the morphology and contextual analysis. Well, one key to understanding new words is breaking them down and using context clues. Ever come across a word you don't know and figured it out using the rest of the sentence? Well, that's contextual analysis at work. Similarly, in music, recognizing patterns in melodies or harmonies helps musicians anticipate what comes next, even if they haven't seen the piece before. Morphology is the ability to recognize word parts like roots, prefixes, and suffixes. It works just like the pattern recognition in music. If you understand that un means not and happy means joy, you can quickly grasp that unhappy means the opposite. The same principle applies in music. Knowing that a sharp raises a note or a minor chord often conveys sadness, darkness, depth, or something of a melancholic nature, then it allows musicians to decode music much like readers decode words. And I reference Bowers, Kirby, and Deacon 2010. Let's speak about phonemic awareness and sound recognition in music. Phonemic awareness is the ability to recognize and manipulate the sounds in words. This is crucial for reading success. For English learners, mastering the skill helps them navigate the phonetic system of language. The best teaching approaches use multisensory techniques, much like how music education involves auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learning. Clapping out syllables or recognizing beats in a word is similar to keeping rhythm in music. Gross motor skills such as tapping, dancing, or conducting reinforce phonemic patterns, just as movement based music activities strengthen rhythmic awareness. Studies have shown that rhythm and phonemic awareness are closely linked, meaning music based activities like singing, body percussion, or even rhythmic chanting can significantly improve literacy skills. And here I reference Patel 2008. Let's discuss how music and language share the brain. Bilingualism, music, and reading. So, one of the most exciting discoveries in neuroscience is that playing an instrument engages both hemispheres of the brain, making it one of the most powerful tools for cognitive development. Just as bilingual learners engage both sides of the brain to navigate multiple languages, musicians and I see that in my own children, not just in language, but also the phraseology, the nuance, the colloquialisms of a language or an accent. My children are multilingual and come from multiple ethnic backgrounds. And watching them code switch depending on the setting that they're in is a real joy to observe. Research shows that the structure of music, rhythm, melody, harmony, and phrasing mirrors the structure of language, making music an incredible bridge for ESL learners, ESL being English as a second language. Many languages share phonetic patterns, rhythm structures, and even cognates with English, just as music shares scales, intervals, and chord progressions across cultures. Recognizing and validating a student's home language through bilingual approaches in both reading and music strengthens not just phonics skills, but overall cognitive flexibility, making it easier to learn multiple languages. And here I reference Cummins 2007. So let's move on to comprehension, music literacy, and the issue of higher order thinking. Well, good reading comprehension isn't just about recognizing words. It's about making connections, thinking critically, and self-monitoring. In music, this is similar to reading sheet music, interpreting dynamics, crescendos, decrescendos, suddenly loud, suddenly soft, an accent followed by a diminuendo, which in music we call like subito piano, or understanding the emotional intent behind a composition. Just as readers need to infer meaning, musicians must interpret phrasing, tempo changes, and harmonic tension to bring a piece of music alive. In both disciplines, metacognition, that's being aware of our own thinking, is key. Musicians and readers alike must self-correct in real time. Did I misunderstand that passage? Did I misread that rhythm? Shall I do it again? What can I improve? There's a micro and macro analysis and process of self-correction happening in real time all the time. This constant self-adjustment fosters stronger, independent learning, problem solvers, and creative thinkers. And here I also reference Duke and Cartwright, 2021. So finally, I'd like to talk about the power of arts education and its integration in literacy more broadly to unlock creativity for holistic literacy. Given all these parallels, it's no surprise that integrating the arts, music, dance, creative drama, and visual art into literacy education is one of the most effective ways to build well-rounded, critical thinkers. Neuroscience has found that students engaged in music and arts-based learning develop stronger neural connections in areas responsible for language, executive function, and emotional processing. And I reference Hannah 2007. This means that a student struggling with traditional reading instruction might thrive when learning through song, rhythm, or storytelling. For English learners, incorporating music into reading instruction, such as using songs to reinforce vocabulary, rhythmic clapping to enhance syllable awareness, or dramatizing stories through movement. And in music education, there's a particular learning methodology called eurythmics that does this really well, or music through storytelling. And these all makes language learning more engaging and memorable. It makes language learning more engaging and memorable. That's really key. It shouldn't only engage, it should be something that we remember cognitively, metacognitively, and somehow, as I'd like to put it, in a music sense, that it's felt inside the body. And not language often also just feels right when one speaks it natively. Visual literacy, such as reading music notation or analyzing art, also strengthens pattern recognition skills that transfer directly to decoding written language. And because music is a universal language, it creates an inclusive space where students from diverse linguistic backgrounds can connect, collaborate, and build confidence in their literary skills. And I'm not saying that music is, as an absolute, in an absolute sense, a universal language, because in a different sense, um, the non-universality of music is also a highly controversial subject, meaning that the same song can make one country's football team come alive and play with passion, but in another context, the same song could turn a protest, a peaceful protest, into a violent mob, or at least enthuse them to become that, incite them, which is probably the correct word. In any case, in the broadest sense, literacy isn't just about reading words, as we've said. It's about making meaning across disciplines. Whether through song, movement, storytelling, or artistic expression, arts-based learning activates the brain in a way that traditional instruction alone cannot. By tapping into the power of music and the arts, educators can unlock the creative potential in every student, paving the way for deeper learning, stronger literacy, and lifelong engagement with the world of words, sounds, and ideas.